All right, down we go.
This is Radio Tetris International, Postcard from Poprad.
I think it's a bizarre idea.
Well, it doesn't sound broken.
We've had a bit of a rewind.
Ian, I've got something to say. I was waiting for my moment.
Lee and I have lots of fun when we do these funny little things that we do.
In all honesty, I don't get
It'll
it.
be like a menage a trois.
I'm actually sitting here in my scanties.
Now see what you've done, Rachel.
I've got to tell you, though, it's pretty hilarious.
Oh, right.
Absolutely not. It's because you mended the studio and you broke everything.
What an idiot.
RTI.
It certainly is. This is Postcard from Poprad on a gloriously sunny day. Good afternoon, one and all. And where are we going? I have no idea where Mr. Banks is. Where are you, sir?
I don't know. Hang on. Where am I? I'm in Hull.
You're in Hull.
Well, I said hell, actually, but that's quite sort of a good description of being in Hull. Yes, I'm in Hull.
You're where Hull Kingston Rovers live.
I don't know who the king of Hull is, but that's where I am.
Hull Kingston Rovers, the rugby team.
Actually, I've got a photograph of a lady at the Beverley races yesterday mutilating, right? I use the word advisedly and in its correct sense, mutilating in a urinal in the gents' loos.
Oh, for goodness sake. Hello, Enzo. How the devil are you? Nice to have you with us. Hello, Steve. If he's not in the pub, then he's lost. I quite agree. I agree, Steve. Hello, Rach.
Hello. Happy Good Friday.
Happy Good Friday to you as well. It's
Happy Good Friday to me as well, then.
And to you.
And to you.
Thank you.
And to you. And further, and with no further ado, hello to Gaby, who's in the studio.
Hello.
No, you have to put the microphone round the right way down. He's
right
breaking
way.
the studio.
I'm learning from the best. Come on.
You're breaking it. What are you doing, old man? Lee's breaking your position up.
Hello, Gabe. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. Thank you, Lee.
He actually looks pretty good.
If I may just say, this man, this actorly type,
Yes.
is going to make a very dramatic international appearance in the Consumer Watch Foundation very soon with his whole life story and pictures explaining
3
why
minutes. 3
he's gone
minutes.
down the path
3
that
minutes.
he's decided to take for his future.
3 minutes.
To mention the consumerwatchfoundation.com.
Yes.
Did I mention it was in the... Oh, God, I'm going to say it.
Message for Rach.
Yes.
Who's Rach?
Good day, Rachel.
G'day.
You?
That's from Rob.
That's my Robbie. He's in the Pilbara again, don't you know?
He certainly
no.
is. He's in the Pilbara again, and
He goes to spend Easter up in the dirty, yucky Western Australia.
that'll teach him, won't
He's
it?
got a shed full of beer.
Well, and actually, no, they're not allowed to drink a lot of beer because it's a work site.
Yeah. They're not allowed to, are they?
No, you can have a little bit, but not lots.
Yeah,
How much
absolutely.
are they allowed?
I don't know, Robbie. How much beer are you allowed? And tell the truth.
Yeah. Well, Steve's getting in this. Says how many pints has Lee drank today already?
Blood. I've drunk millions, dear.
Millions. Hello to Chris Medhurst in London.
Hello, Chris.
How you doing, mate? We're going to dive on because we've got loads to get through. But first of all, I have to share something. This is education from Slovakia for Easter.
I love these. Is this about the smacking thing?
It could be. Oh, hello to Charles as well. We've got lots of love and kisses from Charles. This is a tradition in Slovakia, boys and girls. We've been championing to be adopted around the world for many years now.
We haven't. You have.
I haven't either. I love Slovakia, but I don't think this is very good.
Don't put this on me and Uncle Lee. This is all you.
Yeah, this is exactly. Yeah, it's just a bit pervy.
Oh, right. Apparently you're allowed 6 beers when you're working where Rob is at the moment.
6 beers?
Yeah, blimey.
6 large beers.
I'm in the wrong country, man.
I think if it's depends on how many litres of beer the 6 beers is, I guess.
Yes, good
6
on.
beers would be
Good.
probably about just those half-pint sizes. But remember, that's for Australia. That's not a lot of beer.
Anyway, Mitchell has joined us, and he's been chastised for being late. That's very good. He hasn't got a teacher's note. Anyway, so this is the tradition, boys and girls, which I have to say, if you're in the UK, you will know of a shop called Tesco's. Other stores are available. And the Tesco's here, very British company from Essex, the Tesco's here has part of the tradition on sale here now. Well, actually, it's not today because it's closed today. But tomorrow you can still have a chance to go and buy these items tomorrow, and they look rather like that which English people call a twitch. Only it's longer. It's about 1 metre long. It's 3 pieces of stick all entwined together with lovely little bows on the top of happiness. And then what you do is on Easter Sunday, you take your wench out, you hold her arms out with your friends.
It's true.
It's true. And to make her vibrant and produce more children, you throw a bucket of ice-cold water over her.
What do you need the switch for?
You then smack her on the bum, and that makes her even more virile.
You get your nose broke in Britain.
Yeah.
I was going to say, and then she pulls out a semi-automatic weapon. And
Can I ask Gabe a question?
Go on then.
Gabe?
Yeah.
This tradition, is he there?
Yes.
Are you speaking?
This tradition is like the best tradition ever. You mean, can you imagine smacking your girlfriend, wife, or any other pretty girl and throw water on her and she will be happy?
No, I can't.
In other parts of the world, that's called assault, Gabe.
Yeah, exactly.
Not here, it's not.
Not here. If you don't throw water, you're actually insulting them and telling them that you're ugly.
Yeah.
You put salt on them as well.
and what's more, Rachel, you ready?
It doesn't have a religious meaning.
No, it's a virility thing.
Well, why'd you do it at Easter then? Why don't you do it on Virility Day?
Well, because it's done on Easter Day.
Well, why? It's pointless. It's ridiculous. I am
Jesus would hate
shocked.
Well, the other thing I should share with everybody around the world before they start sort of going, nah. If you can actually access Slovak news on the day, on Easter Sunday, you will actually see it is the #1 story on the news. And I don't know the news agenda yet, but I guarantee it will be the #1 news item on Slovak television at the top of the hour. There'll be the girls getting covered in icy water on the television just to pay tribute to those that follow the tradition.
Hear, hear.
Rachel's not saying anything now.
She's not coming to Slovakia during the Easter, that's for sure.
No, I came in January, where I must say there was no snow.
True. Apparently, we've all got to be on best behaviour because Steve's been inviting his friends across, and they're all posh. Oh, hello. Sorry.
Well, they've come to the wrong place, haven't
Yes,
they?
sorry. I should refresh this and go, good evening. This is the news from Poprad. Bong. There'll be
that will last about 5 seconds.
There's ice water being...
the coldest day.
Excuse me. Breaking news. Eric is quite right that the abuse of women by throwing water over them and whipping them is the main story on Slovak news on the news agenda. However, but what it actually says. Is this a true Slovak Easter? Is Easter not about whipping women?
You're reading the Slovak Spectator.
Yeah.
How did I know that?
Well, probably wrote it.
He probably did, actually.
The Slovak Spectator really isn't the greatest news organ in the world with its... How many readers it got, Eric? We know, don't we?
Not many.
Not many, but at least it has the chutzpah to ask the question. A true Slovak Easter is not about whipping women.
Oh, it is. They're just because they're English people that write the Slovak Spectator, they don't understand.
Honestly, if anybody did that to me, tradition or no, they'd be absolutely running for their lives. I would not tolerate that for a second. I'd be effing and blinding and carrying on. It'd be, don't do it to me ever.
Anyway, message from Rob. We love Tesco's, don't we, Rach?
We do love Tesco's. Oh, my God, that was the best part. Well, not the best part of our trip, but it was one of the massive highlights of our trip, was going to Tesco's in Sunderland. And I thought I was in Nevada. I've never seen anything like it. It made Costco look completely stupid.
Keith says, afternoon, Uncle Eric. We'll see you at 5, 1800 hours, that is, CET, on RTI, with... You got to listen to Keith. You should hear. Actually, the work he puts into it is amazing. And where he gets the comedy sketches from, I have no idea. But they're just brilliant. They are just brilliant. And Michelle Mitchell says, how does she know I'm tuned in? He must be a mind reader. Ooh, spooky, spooky, spooky. And that's probably because it comes up on Steve's feed, but that's not one. Education on Postcard from Poprad. Am I tuned into the right show? Says Dave. No, none of that. Because we're not. We move on. The train spotter actor Bradley Welsh, has died after a shooting in Edinburgh. Lee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's quite an interesting story because he made a living out of playing bad lads. He appeared in that other bad lad idiot, Danny Dyer's Deadliest Men, and all sorts of things like that. And tragically, he made a statement very recently about crime gangs, and inexplicably, somebody came and shot him through the head. Absolutely appalling. What is Britain coming down to? I know it's happened in Edinburgh, but, this is our society today.
Tragic. Maya Lesia Naylor, who was actually, first time she was on telly, was a baby in Ab Fab. And I didn't know that until she died. And the tragedy is that she died at the age of 16.
I know, really
horrible.
It is horrible, isn't it? If there is a consolation out of all this, apparently she collapsed, and what they're saying is it was natural causes. So God bless her for putting all that humour on the television for so many years, and so many kids just adored her, and she was just a natural actress, so natural.
Yeah,
and that's what I couldn't get over it. And the other crazy thing is apparently she was on social media a couple of days before she died saying there's some amazing projects coming up. So she can't have felt ill, which is the point I'm making.
Well, they're saying it's a mystery illness. They're actually saying it's a mystery. I'm sorry, mystery death. Yeah.
Maybe it was a clot or something.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah. They go quick.
Yeah, well, the only thing we know, bless her, is that she just literally dropped to the floor. And that was it. So she wouldn't have felt anything. And that's the only consolation I get out of this. And the only solace I have available for the family whose thoughts are in our prayers all the time. And I'm sure she's going to have a wonderful life up there being a real angel as opposed to the angel she was on ground. So God bless you, my darling. X Factor star Ray Boddington has died at the age of 77 after being hit by a tram.
I know. How does things like that?
What a way to die.
Yeah. That's
horrific. You could be Coronation Street, couldn't you?
Well, yes.
But you have to be fair. I mean,
I don't know why I'm laughing. That's terrible.
Sorry, Gaby?
I mean, you have to be fair. If you're 77, you can't go that fast, you know. Can you imagine you're pushing the button at the traffic light and it's green and you count the seconds, like 2 seconds, it's already red.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah, it could be. This is really horrific from today. A journalist, a lady, 29 years old, was shot at what the police are now calling a terrorist incident in Northern Ireland, in Londonderry, which is in the county of Derry. And the suggestion is it's a reformed IRA group.
The new IRA,
Yeah, that have shot the lady. And I just find it really saddening that something like this is happening when there's more important things to worry about in Ireland. And yet this does nothing to serve any purpose with the argument that's going on about the borders between the North and the Republic. And all it does is just alienate people again.
Well, it would appear, there were riots in Londonderry, which, have started to rear their ugly heads again. Everybody at the moment seems to think that they should have a riot like's happening in London.
Yep.
And it's not saying that she was shot deliberately. In fact, the police are saying almost categorically that it was a stray bullet that she was hit by.
Yeah.
Because journalists are being murdered in the world at the moment, and I know a lot of people, smug people, always grin at that and think it's a wonderful thing. But these people are out there trying to tell the truth. That's what she was doing. She was trying to tell what was going on.
Absolutely.
And it is a tragedy.
That theme will be running all the way through the show, by the way, today, as journalists keep getting clobbered either by controls or people going, "Oh, we'll get rid of them then," which is horrific. Rach, they're looking for a guy in Melbourne at the moment after these horrific sex attacks.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. It was in Richmond, as you know. I lived in Richmond for a time. I don't know what's going on in Melbourne. I swear, Richmond. There's these assaults going on. Paran, there was the shooting. We lived there. It's just Melbourne's gone absolutely bananas. But the police need to have support of magistrates because everybody's getting away with absolute blue bloody murder, and it's really irritating. If you're in Richmond, just beware because it's not a really safe place to walk around at night at the best of times. It's a known drug hotspot. Mm-hmm. So just take care women should be safe wherever they go, but just to be safe, please walk with your friends. Please don't walk by yourself. Please get in a taxi or something if you have to walk by yourself. Just take care out there, and that goes for everybody everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Hi to Lisa and a radio station by the look of it. Just joined us. Welcome to the news show on RTI. Mitchell says, is Poprad near Vladivostok? No!
Come on.
Come on.
On our show.
No.
Very quickly, can we just say, talking about dead journalists,
yep.
That the Slovak newspapers are also carrying the story that an ex-soldier has confessed to the double murder of an investigative journalist and his fiancée last year.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. It is. I mean, the problem here is that journalists were always a target, and that stems back to the communist days, and some of the communist people filtered their way into the socialist groups, I think probably to hide more than anything else. I'm not suggesting that they became socialists or socialists are bad, but I think they eased their way in that way because it made sense for them. And, the journalists were always the people that were the targets because they didn't like the fact that the journalists told the communist stories. They hated it because it exposed them for what they were.
And it is why now Slovakia has no real newspapers at all. And nobody in Slovakia is that interested in news anymore because they've never, ever they haven't got this background of news coverage.
Oh, no, I'm not having that. No.
Well, everybody in Slovakia I've spoken to, including you, says that all you get on the news on television is crime.
That's because they got a proper crime show first.
And I've watched Slovak news, and the news is very, very poor. Witness the paper we're talking about.
I get your point. The issue here, as with many countries actually, is they tend to focus on national news first, whereas you and I, Lee, look at the bigger picture. And to explain that, boys and girls, there are two news programs on Slovak TV every night on one of the main channels. The first one is the criminal news, and I'm sure I've said this before, but I'll repeat myself. If it is that a small village post office were to be raided, that would be national news here. They would put the picture of the person up, they would catch him, and he would go to prison. When my late father had a raid in his post office more than once, he didn't even make the flipping local news because they don't care. So I respect the fact that they do local issues. They turn them into national issues, which in effect deters other people from doing the same crime, which is a great thing. Where the news falls down is it goes from criminal news to what they call the main news. And eventually, you got to the story of a spider fell over in a little field and everybody's running away because it's national news. And that is not the news that Lee and I look at. We look at news from a bigger agenda. So it looks very parochial, but the viewing figures for television news is absolutely massive. And equally, the radio news on all channels is one of the highest point scorers on radio media in Slovakia. So
it doesn't mean that they're getting what they deserve. Gabby, you're a local bloke. You are an international, actually kind of person. How do you feel Slovakia treats news compared to other places?
Well, if you ask my opinion, Lee, I think the news around the world is not much more or much less than Slovakian news. I think I agree with Eric to say Slovakia focus also on the national news. The thing about news for me is when I look around the world, it's all negative.
Well, of course it is. That's what news is about, unfortunately.
Well, is that
because it's a negative world. It's a negative world.
It's like, people would like to see how many people died instead of, bring some cheerful news, right?
Well, if you actually read newspapers beyond the Slovak press, you will find that there is a very great balance on happy news. There always is. It's called celebrity news. It's called sports news. It's called.
That's where you get the number one problem there. The celebrity news here is not as powerful as it is in the UK.
Well, that's it. But Gabby's saying that we don't have happy news in newspapers. We do.
No, we're not talking about newspapers.
Well, all right, news agendas then.
Yeah.
We have it like the Consumer Watch Foundation has a fair smattering of serious news and a fair smattering of, for instance, we had the story of the 100.
But I'm going to compliment you now. You're the editor of the Consumer Watch Foundation, which is not stereotypical of a lot of news outlets today. It used to be stereotypical, but it isn't anymore because it's too easy to do purely negative stuff as opposed to balancing it out, which you and I were brought up to do. So what you are is you're a ruddy dinosaur doing something in the digital age.
I'm not sure that's fair. I think, anyway, it's we're focusing on this very simply. The good news is out there. Read the Consumer Watch Foundation.
Exactly my point. There you go again.
And see what news is actually about. We have a good story, which one way or the other I'm going to mention later on because it is an international story and it has a Slovak interest, and people from Slovakia are actually commenting on news in the Consumer Watch Foundation. It's very interesting.
He's going to do it, isn't he?
No, he's not doing it yet.
Anyway, we move on. I'm going to move straight over to the Extinction Rebellion, which I can't say. I've got Lee's problem now. And I am so incensed about this. I mean, yeah, I see the fun. They've put a boat in the middle of London at Oxford Circus. There's a DJ on top, and somebody said, "Oh, isn't that funny? It's like 1967 all over again." They're banning offshore radio stuff, and I agree. It is a bit funny to begin with, but then I start to ask some questions. How much fuel does it take to get all these people into London to try and say that they're saving the planet? Number two, this is from Lee's Consumer Watch Foundation. Oh, now what have I done? Lee's Consumer Watch Foundation. They're sitting there with plastic bottles full of water.
They've glued themselves to Jeremy Corbyn's fence to make a big statement that they thought would get in all the newspapers. It did make a few newspapers, but no other newspaper or no other news outlet other than us spotted the fact that they've all got plastic bottles. What a load of knobs.
Yes, not only that, they're walking around wearing plastic rucksacks. They're wearing rubber-soled shoes. It goes on and on. And if you look around, they've got plastic flowers. Where does all this come from, apart from oil?
Well said. Well said. We are the only news outlet to point this out.
They are balmy. They are absolutely
RTI in that as well.
Yeah. And the worst part about it all is, I don't know whether these guys have got a day off work. They don't work. They may work. I don't know. The bottom line is that they are stopping regular taxpayers from going to work. It should not be allowed. And do you know why? Because there's a place in London called Speaker's Corner, where you're allowed to stand on a box and rant about anything you like. Get away with it.
You know what? This is actually really interesting. Last week, maybe the week before, in Melbourne, there was a huge vegan protest.
Yep.
And they normally, if you're going to have, there's lots of protests in the middle of Melbourne, organised marches, etc. And you usually get in touch with the police, emergency services several days beforehand, let them know where you're going to be, how many of you there are going to be, how long you're going to be there for, so that they can mobilise what they need to do in the event of an emergency. These vegans just decided that they were going to turn up. They let nobody know. There was no forewarning in the middle of one of the busiest intersections in Melbourne CBD, disrupted a whole pile of stuff. Now, they were lying on the ground, which, if you ask me, they were lying there because they're exhausted because they're vegans. But they just, but they were very, and they did not help their own cause at all. They really didn't. And now they're using intimidation and harassment at various farms, abusing staff, locking gates, doing things they just overstepping in a general way, kidnapping animals, things like that. They're just a nuisance. But if you're going to do this in the middle of a busy thoroughfare, you have to give people advance notice that you're going to do it. And you're right, Uncle Eric. I've been past Speaker's Corner. In the middle of the night, we went past there, didn't we, Robbie? And I was going to stand on a soapbox and yell about having to stand in the middle of London in the middle of the night, but I didn't. But that's the thing. There's a place where you can gather. There's a place where you can be and have your say and not be a nuisance to everybody else.
Yep. Hugh's joined us and says about the people in London. I'm going to have to change your wording slightly, Hugh, because some of your wording is slightly too bright for radio. No, I can't use that word either. He says to the crew in London, and take a flipping shower, you hippies. I agree. Yeah,
that's a bit curmudgeonly, isn't it?
No.
So they're not only disruptive, but they're malodorous.
Yes, as well. And on Rachel's point, he adds, that's going to force us not to be carnivores then. Ha, ha, ha. I agree.
Well, I was going to go down there and throw bacon at them, but I didn't want to waste the bacon.
At this point, can we just mention this story, please? Because it's a very important story.
Oh, hang on. I didn't know this. This is important. Apparently, because this is our correspondent Dave, who works just around the corner, they bought the boat in the middle of London. They pulled it using an old, dirty diesel van.
Well done.
So, how they are such a bunch of hypocrites.
Yeah.
Right. Listen. There is a mountain in Wales.
I haven't got there yet. I've got to do the second part of this story.
Yeah, but this is a very important part to that story. It's an incredibly important part.
No. You can do it after this. We do part two. Because do you know what else they try to do today?
What?
Close Heathrow Airport when everybody's going away on their Easter break.
No, that's unfair. That is totally unfair.
Why?
Because a group of teenagers, school children, teenage school
They
children.
were using the same posters as the people in London. They
peacefully stood in the background holding up their posters and nothing was disrupted at all.
No, because the police moved them on.
That was the and they moved on. They moved on as they were asked to. That was the acceptable side of protest.
I agree with that, but they went there to close the road at the roundabout.
But they didn't.
They've admitted it. They've admitted it.
But they didn't.
But
they didn't.
They couldn't.
They didn't manage it.
But they didn't.
They didn't because the police were there and stopped them.
There you go. So they didn't.
Well, that's what the police are paid to do.
Well, why did they go there in the first place? To disrupt every normal person's Easter?
But they didn't.
But they didn't.
No, they didn't because they were not allowed to. And good on the police for stopping them. From stopping them doing it. And anybody... Stop it, you two. And anybody's got the mindset to go, oh, hold on a minute. What shall I do on Good Friday? I know what I'll do. I'll go and sit in the middle of the road at Heathrow so that people that want to go on holiday and have been working hard and saving their money up to do it can't go. No.
But they didn't do it. They stood on the perimeter and waved their banners about. When they were told to go home, they went home.
They got to go on their holiday. Nobody disrupted anything. They didn't.
But the point is they shouldn't have gone there with the purpose, they admitted this, they went there with the purpose of closing the road. The police...
But they didn't.
Because they were not allowed to, because the police stopped them. Good.
They didn't.
Sometimes I go to the pub with the purpose of getting drunk, and sometimes I don't.
Sometimes you don't.
You two are just winding me up. I know you are. You are. Anyway, I don't care because the silly beggars did not get to stop the people, and they can all go home now and have a shower.
That's right. They didn't.
Yes, they did. Yes, I agree. They didn't have a shower.
They didn't stop the traffic, and they didn't have a shower.
Complete failures.
Yeah. Apparently,
they can't do anything.
Apparently, Hugh now wants to go to KFC and buy something to eat, and he's got he's got a signature tune for them. Don't stand so close to me.
Oh, very good.
That's
very
just so
good.
rude, you.
Yeah. Hello, Dave and Stephen, and oh my God, I've got to go on to Facebook a minute. The Green Party once came canvassing to my parents' place, promoting their policy of emission tax in a gas-quizzling Land Rover. Marvellous. Thank you for that, David. I really appreciate it.
Can we just say, why aren't all these protesters at the mountain in Wales? This is a proper mountain that has been filled with scrap cars, and the scrap cars are leaking into the water plateau or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm doing the listeners first. You're second. Protest is...
I'll do the story. It's probably the most important environmental story ever. We've got quotes off the council. We've got people in Slovakia who are commenting on it.
Yeah, right. Okay. Protest is and has been, through the ages, a democratic way of bringing about change. Climate change is a subject of protest throughout the world, not just the UK. A police statement has said that the protesters in the UK are totally peaceful and do not obstruct the police in any way when asked to move. No, that's because they carry them away. They don't move, they get carried away.
Oh, stop. They don't always get carried away.
I've got
Eric. That's
pictures.
So wrong.
Pictures are there. The police...
Oh, in every single you've got pictures of every single protest that's ever happened.
No.
Then careful what you say, sir.
Yes, boss.
Actually, there have been quite a few arrests.
Yeah, there have 250 odd. They've all
which
been
is quite bad, really.
Which is really bad.
And it has been going on for 5 days.
Yeah, apparently it was going to be one.
It's a follow-up to the yellow vests.
Yeah, the police then added that this means their way of dealing with the protest is equally peaceful. And that's from Dorothy. Which, actually, Dorothy, I don't disagree with anything you said. I really don't.
Well, I think you need to read the newspapers, Dorothy, or watch the news and get the facts.
The bottom line is that the police did say that they were friendly people. And in fact, worse still, the Metropolitan Police are now investigating policemen who were dancing with the protesters, which I think is stupid.
That's always happened.
I know, it's ridiculous. They're trying to be nice, and help everything along. But my point is, if they want to do these protests, I have no problem with it. Christ, I'm one of the biggest protesters on the planet. But
I can hear you.
150 people arrested.
Yeah, but the point is they're doing it to damage the lives of normal people. And if you do that, I'm sorry, you lose your protest points with me. There's lots of ways you can protest. Huge amounts of ways. You could stand...
protest at the mountain in Wales.
No, you could go and stand on the grass. You're allowed to. You can go and stand opposite Westminster. With today's technology, you could have a lovely little sing-along, we shall overcome, whatever you want to do. And you would still get on the telly. You would. But putting people's jobs at risk by sitting in the middle of the road, not acceptable to me. You're damaging normal people, and that's wrong.
Oh, guess what?
What?
I just got a smart traveller advice from the United Kingdom.
No.
It's saying, yes, I did. I just got it then. It says, stay away from Londonderry.
Well, there you are. Yeah, makes sense. And as we were saying, this is the whole thing all the way, which is making me so angry this week, because it's the regular people that get hurt, and by you getting that message, Rach, people will go, oh, I'm not going to Ireland then. Oh, I'm not going there. So you're hurting...
Regular people are totally fed up with organisations like councils and governments and people in power all over the world, but particularly in Britain. Mm-hmm. And this mountain, which we're not going to discuss,
we will.
The council have replied to us because we've asked, how can you allow that to happen? And now a Slovak, whose name won't be mentioned on this programme now, has been down there and said it is like a nuclear holocaust down there.
Why are you scared to mention his name?
I can't remember it.
You numpty! You see what the red top journalist is doing? He's pretending that I'm not going to let him say this guy's name. Not really the truth. It's because he can't flipping remember.
He's called Magic, and I can't remember his last name. But anyway, he's been down there. I've asked him to send us photographs, and he's saying what's happening is an absolute environmental disaster. Now, the people in London should be protesting there. People have been going up there and throwing wrecked cars, all sorts of washing machines, fridges, into a cave in a mountain in North Wales. Now, the fact is, the council have known about this for 30 years. The council have known about this for 30 years, and they can't be bothered doing anything. Aqua City is built on a subterranean lake, and it gives the world's most fabulous water, heat, and everything else. This council can...
but hold on a minute. That project, Aqua City, is bad.
Yeah.
It's very bad. Because you know what? It makes a little profit. But
no.
Yeah, it makes a little profit.
Protest. When I come back, me and Eric, we will go up there and have a protest.
Yeah, we will. And the poor guy who borrowed in total 70 million euro to make it happen is a bad person. Oh, what a bad person, because he made a little profit. And the poor little people that didn't have a job before he came here are really downtrodden and
all the people who had nowhere to swim and nowhere to get fit, they should all be ashamed of themselves.
Absolutely. And to answer one of Steve's point, which actually does make a valid point.
He never makes a valid point.
He has kind of, but I think if you're not a Londoner, it's hard to understand it. He's talking about the protests in London and blocking the roads, and he says, no, they're not. They're only blocking one bridge. How many bridges are there over the Thames? The problem with that, Steve, in London, is you shut down one minor road and it blocks the rest off. It does. It causes chaos.
Sorry, Steve, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. By
closing one bridge and by closing Oxford Circus effectively, what you've done is gridlocked the middle of London. Because the traffic can't cope. And it's because there's too many cars in the centre of London. And as our correspondent Dave says, they are blocking Marble Arch, Parliament Square, Oxford Circus, Waterloo Bridge. It just destroys the whole lot, which means the whole of like Oxford Street, Regent Street, where people go to shop to give people wages. are also closed, even down to Piccadilly Circus. So all the tourist places are losing revenue and potentially damaging jobs because they didn't go and stand on a box in the correct place in London, where they would still have got it. They'd have still got, if they'd have gone there en masse, like the Stones did with their butterfly thingy and all that. They got onto television. These people, I'm sorry to say this, most of them want 15 seconds of fame on the telly.
Absolutely. And if they'd gone to Stand By This Mountain that we're not allowed to mention and protested about that, they would have made it clear to the council, who've known about these cars being down there for 30 years, leaking into the water table, that they need to do something about it. Do you know what that council has now done? We have been in touch with them. They said they would come back to us. Do you know what they've done? They've gone away for Easter.
No.
Yeah. They've gone on holiday for Easter.
Right, now, okay, now having confused the whole of the audience as to what the hell you're talking about...
I'm not telling you.
Well, you don't... I can tell you anyway.
It's only because you've read it in the Consumer Watch Foundation.
Correct! Correct! And it's only because you were over there looking for stuff to do. Don't give me that, you monkey.
Go on then, tell the world. Tell the world. Stand up and tell
It's the most horrific picture I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. I mean, there is a problem in Slovakia, the same in the UK, I'm sure it's the same in Australia, which is called fly tipping, which you go to somewhere and you just dump your rubbish and run away quickly so nobody catches you. Whereas it takes 5 minutes more to go to the right place and dispose of your stuff, and maybe cost you a couple of quid, a couple of euro, a couple of dollars. And do you know, it's like when we have a clear out in the office, I go round to the municipal dump here and I say to people, look, we can't use this anymore. It's got this and this, but this works fine. Do you want to keep it for anybody? And so many times people recycle things. There's a guy that he repairs, Rachel will like this, vacuum cleaners. He's a vacuum cleaner doctor. And I mean,
I want to meet that guy.
Yeah, what a guy, right? And when I've taken old vacuum cleaners from different places, I've said to the people at the tip, is he still here? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, I've kept them nice and dry. They're in bags. They won't get wet because, once they're wet, they're ruined. And they take them in for this guy who recycles them.
This isn't about vacuum cleaners. It's about 300 cars stuffed inside a mountain.
It's the same principle, Lee. If the people... If the people took the seconds to dispose of the things properly, then this wouldn't have happened. They are lazy gits who really should be fined as much as is humanly possible.
Well, it should be. But listen to this. The Scrap Metal Association of Great Britain, right, have actually known about this themselves for decades, but say there's nothing we can do. We can't get it out. It's down there forever. How it is too dangerous to go in there and cut these cars up. Now,
whoa. The Scrap Metal Association have got nothing to do with this. It's the council. End of.
No, the Scrap Metal Association are saying that they would go down there and take these cars out to save the environment, save the environment, but they can't do it because it's so dangerous. Now, what they're saying is exactly that the council are responsible. Ceredigion Council, who got cornered by us yesterday, and then decided, we won't answer. We'll go on holiday for Easter. I've got my eggs to look after. And that's
of course they will.
Disgusting. Hang your heads in shame.
Look, Lee, the reality of the world is that it's Easter, they're going to go away. Had you got to the story a week before, you'd have had a week to get into it, and maybe they'd have started to get a bit more panicky. What they're doing... I
totally disagree with you. They've known about this for 30 years, and they could have come forward, they could have just sent an email...
No, you're missing the point. You're missing the point.
They could have said very simply, we are looking into it.
He ain't getting it, is he? No, anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll get in there in a minute. Lee, had you contacted the council because you'd have been in a position which you were not, to contact them a week earlier, they wouldn't have had the excuse of, oh, we're going away for Easter. Let's hope while we're away from Easter that he forgets.
But it's an excuse. It's an excuse. You know as well as I do that all press offices can work from home. Any company will give you the home number of the press office for an emergency. This is an environmental emergency that this council has known about for 30 years and is trying to avoid doing anything about because it's too difficult.
I've just got a message for everybody, which is rather nice. Abdella says, and I know who you are, young man, it says, hi from Africa. Oh, with a big love heart. Oh, that's nice. Aww. That's nice. You see, that's what we want more of, love and caring around the world. Never happened.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Lee there. No, but I agree with you, Lee. The press officers should be there, but they're not going to answer their phone on Good Friday for you. Of
course they are. Well, they should do. That's what press officers are there to do. They are there to serve the public, not serve the chocolate eggs.
They're on holiday.
For the grandmother.
They're on holiday. Blame the snowflakes. They're on holiday. They are. It's 2019, for God's sake. They're on holiday. The councillors go away on holiday. And what they're hoping, Lee, is that you go away for your Easter break. And when you come back, you will have forgotten all about it, which you won't.
Excuse me, yes, I'm not having an Easter break. I will be working this weekend on another incredible story for the relaunch of the Consumer Watch Foundation, which is going to be stunning.
Yeah. That's my point. We're all here today. Most everybody else is at home enjoying the day, and they should enjoy their day off, whether you're religious or not. Enjoy your day today. It's Friday. But we're here because we choose to be here. The rest of the planet chooses not to be
committed.
Here.
Yes. We should be. We're committed to giving news and whatever else to people.
Correct.
Because that's what the people deserve, unlike what they get in Slovakia.
How did he get that back to Slovakia that easy? You don't know either. No, I don't know either. Anyway, my final rant before we get on to some more news is the Notre Dame fire. And not only was it tragic, not only was it a disaster. And look, guys, you know me well enough by now. Most of you do anyway. You listen to me every week, you poor people. I am not a lover of art. I can see a picture of a Rembrandt on the internet, print it, put it in a frame, and that's good enough for me. I don't need the old one that's all dirty and horrible, because I don't. And so I'm not the most proactive when it comes to buildings and architecture and all the rest. But with Notre Dame, it's something special. It is something special. It's something that people look up and are inspired by. It's a focal point for communities, for God's sake. And when I see people on Facebook writing the following, oh, if I put stained glass windows in my house, do you think a billionaire will give me some money? No, you plank! What a plank!
Can we just say also that Brendan O'Hanrahan, who is one erstwhile writer with the Consumer Watch Foundation, I think I've mentioned it 15 times now.
You've done well.
Actually put on Facebook himself, quite rightly, what a week for it to happen. How terrible.
I couldn't agree with you more, Lee. And I saw Brendan's note, and he says it reminds me of Windsor Castle. And I agree. And the people that would... I don't know whether
your cathedral.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know whether these people are jealous or envious. I don't know which it is.
It's the thoughtlessness of Facebook.
No, it's got nothing to do with that. They did it before, Lee.
Of course it is. They just say the first thing that comes into their head that they think's reactionary, and it's given them a platform to say stupid things, and that's it, and that's what they do, and that's what it is. The thoughtlessness of Facebook, the platform for people.
Which brings me beautifully, as that was the most superb link you've ever done. It was. Rach, do you know where we're going now?
Oh, well.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook has banned UK far-right groups. I'll let Rachel lead on this one after I say I think it's very wrong to do that. It messes it all up. It stops journalists from actually writing about them. And, you know, the way it is...
That's a very good point.
Technically, if a newspaper writes something about them, I copy and paste the link onto my Facebook page, I could get banned.
Really good point. I have to hold my hands up and say I never actually thought of that. But yeah, if we did a piece on this mention these right-wing groups, which are horrendous groups, you can't say they've got any credibility. But yeah, you're right. Yes, we could get taken down for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think anybody... Well, this is obviously Nick Clegg's influence, being the liberal-minded little wally that he is.
The man who won't answer the Consumer Watch Foundation over the fact that he used his thing to pillory a journalist and nothing else.
Yeah. Anyway, Rach, the fact that Facebook's getting pilloried in the UK, how is that balanced in Australia, or isn't it?
I think, well, they are. I mean, they're getting sort of beaten around, especially in the wake of the horrible massacre in Christchurch, when they allowed videos to be uploaded and kept them there for a very, very long time. But so were YouTube and Twitter and everybody else. But Facebook, you don't hear a lot about them getting in trouble for this or that here. I think America and Britain really take the lead, and then we just follow you. So,
like a little dog.
Our rules are really different too. I mean, our YouTube rules are really different than yours. All the rules are really different, and I don't think we see a lot of it because I think it all gets filtered away beforehand simply because it's legislated.
Yeah.
So, I don't hear about as much stuff coming out of Australia and as I do about you guys having to watch it all unfold.
But Rach, what you've done is brilliant, because I was hoping for the answer I got, and luckily I got it. To say that what Australia's already doing, and nobody in the world's talking about it, Australia are looking at the whole issue of digital media in a different light. Now, they are not censoring the news people. They're not censoring them.
No.
Far from it. But what they are doing is making it difficult for the bad people of the world to influence youngsters. And that's the key of Australia's law. And it's brilliant.
And we won't have, there was a guy, and I can't remember his name, and I probably wouldn't want to say it if I could, but he's a really offensive, far-right, hate speechy, what he calls himself is a motivational speaker. But he was out here maybe a couple of years ago, and there were full-on riots when he came out, and now they've denied him a visa, so he can't come and spread his hate speech here.
Good.
And that's more of what should happen with people trying to spread their speech and block true speech, like journalists, etc. That's what should happen. So, but I think, I think the reason why is because we legislate differently.
Mitchell's made a point which I'm going to jump on a bit, and he says, let journalists report about them, but don't give the far right a platform. I would add to that, Mitchell, don't give any extremists a platform, whether they're left or right. It makes no difference. They're equally as bad at the far left as they are at the far right. Any extremist group should not be given a go-to-all platform. Let the journalist investigate, rather than letting the social media thing proliferate as it does. And the truth is, whether you like it or lump it, I don't care, because when America, China, or Russia sneezes, the rest of the world gets a cold, and that's fact. Now, whether you like it or not, I don't give a damn. If you don't like it, tune away. I don't care. The fact is,
people mistake free speech with hate speech a lot of the time.
Correct.
They really do.
Absolutely. The difference is freedom of speech and freedom to insult and attack and That's the difference, and that's the problem with Facebook. People are not trained or don't understand how the law works.
It's not just the law, Lee. It's investigating the content properly,
Absolutely.
which takes years to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's one for Rachel, which very quickly, do you know, Rachel, that in this digital age where everybody carries a recording equipment around on them, everybody who's got a phone has got a recording device on them, that still in Australia it is illegal to covertly record somebody and it is not admissible as evidence. What a throwdown, Robbie.
But that's the same in certain areas in the UK, Lee. Certain conditions
it is very illegal.
There are conditions to it, but no, you can now use covert recordings as evidence because it is hard evidence.
You can covertly record somebody under the guise of recording undercover journalists, for example.
Yeah.
If they don't fall under our legislation. There was a story a couple of weeks ago about one of our lesser qualified politicians, although they're not all qualified, are they? But she's a particularly interesting character, and she was covertly recorded by Al Jazeera for a while, for a long time, and they tried to gag it and say it was illegal and they're going to be sued, but Al Jazeera don't fall under our legislation. So they had every right to do it. But if it had been an Australian journalist, it would not have been okay to do.
If they're under rehab law.
We covertly recorded a politician recently, and we have presented that recording to the police, who are taking it seriously and are investigating it.
I mean, really, it's the same as all these things. You know, the certain groups, political groups, as they're labelled, will say it's an invasion of privacy. No, and then they'll say we can't have ID cards. They're an invasion of privacy. No, they're not. They are not. You know, ID cards recorded. ID cards are wonderful. I don't have to think and remember everything. It's just
you remember who you are. You just have a look at your card.
Exactly. Thank you very much indeed. But there we go. We haven't got time for a lot of things. I am going to just share one quick story, just a headline. Age verification checks for online pornography will come into force on the 15th of July in the UK.
It was supposed to come into force last month. It was supposed to come into force 2 years ago. Why is the government doing this?
Because they've now got round the problem. The law will be enforced by the British Board of Film Classifications, BBFC, rather than the government. So, in other words, the government have thrown it away to BBFC, who will get paid loads of money to enforce it all.
To do nothing.
Probably, yes, indeed.
Well, to be fair, the government's busy not doing the whole Brexit thing.
Well, exactly. Delegate management. See, perfect. Rachel, you're on your own for the whole Easter.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm not all on my own. I've got Gordy here, and Beth's somewhere. I think she's somewhere in the house, but I've got to work anyway, but that's cool. And Robbie's up at the Pilbara, and it'll be all right. We'll see each other after Easter.
Well, we could invite you here to Slovakia, but I don't want to get in jail when you when we throw water on you.
You don't want me to turn the tables and throw a bucket of water on you.
Yeah. Wow, what a good idea, Rachel.
I think they should have a reverse day. I really do.
They have actually. That is like the Monday Easter. Then it's the tables are turned. Yeah.
So what are you going to be doing, Rach?
I'm going to work tomorrow.
Yep.
And then the rest of the weekend, I've got Sunday and Monday off. So I think I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to clean the house, and then I'm going to eat chocolate, and then clean the house some more.
Wow.
And watch Game of Thrones.
Oh, well, never mind. Lee, what are you up to?
Well, I have to say, and I announce this to the world, that I am going to continue my sojourn across Britain looking for a non-microwaved meat and potato pie. The whole world's gone insane. Everybody microwaves meat and potato pies now instead of sticking them in the oven.
It's ridiculous.
That's disgusting. They shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Rach, it's time for you to say those immortal words that you do so well.
Goodbye, Rach.
Oh, dear. Before we do City Time, Gabe, lovely to see you again.
Yeah,
Thanks
very
for having
nice.
me
Hello,
again.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, we will, won't we? Yeah. So,
they're dating. Oh, my word. Sooty time, please.
Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
And that was it for another week here on Radio Tatsis International and Postcard from Poprad. We'll see you all again soon. Steve is up next on... I hope he's not driving his train while he's making the programmes. Ooh, heck. No, I'm sure he's not. He's being very sensible and being at home. He says, Happy Easter to all. Thank you. And to everybody on Facebook, everybody on YouNow, everybody on the Vaughan and everywhere else you've been chatting, have a lovely Easter. Enjoy it. And don't forget, throw the bucket of water.
RTI